Today I'll be reviewing the 2023 Polestar 2 versus a Tesla Model Y long range. Now the color on the Polestar 2 is called snow. I generally refer to that as just white. That is a $1,250 option. Both of these cars have 20-inch wheels. The Polestar wheels are a 5-spoke $1,300 option, and they are absolutely beautiful. The Model Y induction wheels, those 20-inch wheels are a $2,000 upgrade. Now, some of you may be saying these aren't comparable cars because the Polestar is a smaller car. Maybe the Polestar is more comparable to a Model 3, and I'll also be doing a review on that. But the Polestar to me is a gorgeous looking car. I love how the logo here is blended into the front. It's very minimalistic, and these wheels really give it a sporty outlook. In fact, I don't know of another car that looks anything like this on the road, so it's very unique. So if you're shopping between these two brands, there are going to be much fewer Polestars on the road. They don't produce as many of them. Tesla is really ramped up to being a mass-producing automaker, so you're not going to see many of these. Some other cool exterior features. We'll move around the car, we'll get to the interior, and we'll do a drive. This is a bezel-less mirror, and it's gorgeous. I absolutely love that. Also, I thought this was something that was like left in for the showrooms, but it just says right here, Polestar 2, battery electric vehicle, 78 kilowatt hours or 170 kilowatts. Now, over to Tesla, Tesla does not disclose how big their battery packs are. I don't know why they do that. I don't know what the big deal is with the secret, but they do not disclose that. Polestar puts it right on the car. The other thing I like is they have door handles that are normal. All of these other car manufacturers saw what Tesla did, and they said, oh, I guess that's how you have to make an electric vehicle. Whereas Polestar said, nope, we're just putting door handles on this. There's also a little LED light right here that shines down on the ground to give you a little bit more visibility at night. So I like that Polestar stuck to their guns and just had their own design. Also, as far as the drag that this will be creating, very minimalistic. On top here, this is the base model. It's a front-wheel drive car. It gets 270 miles of range. And on the top part, they don't have the panoramic roof optioned, and it's nice, clean top, and I like that. I wish you could option a Tesla Model 3 or Y with the closed roof. There's a button on the key that will release the rear trunk hatch, and yes, as you can see, it will fit your golf clubs in without having to fold the seats down. Also, if you want to see some golf content, subscribe to Gjeebs Golf. The rear seats fold down in a 60-40 split, and there's also a pass-through hole that if you want to have your skis, you can definitely send those through. You probably can't send a snowboard through there unless you're a child, but you certainly can put skis through, and that's very helpful. To close the trunk, you have this button right here that just closes it, and you have this button right here that closes it and then locks the entire car, so we'll press that. And it closes up nicely. You're also able to remove that cover if you have a bigger box or something in there. Now these tires, this is a specific tire for Polestar, and that's denoted by pole that's inside of a box. These are Michelin 245/40 R20 tires, and this is a great all-season tire that has a tread wear rating of 540. Now, in comparison, the tires that I have on my Model Y are a Pilot Sport 4S. So this is a high-performance summer tire that has a tread wear rating of 300. So these are much softer. They're going to wear out a lot quicker. I think this is an excellent tire that they have on here from the factory. It should be very efficient. The Michelin Pilot Sport All-Season 4s are excellent all-weather tires. They do reduce your range a little bit, but the comfort is very good. Ultimately, I think this is an excellent tire if you're having to replace your tires on your Model Y or any electric vehicle for an all-season tire. The front is actually a fairly useful space, not as big as the Tesla Model 3 or Model Y, but it does have a jack included. It has a Polestar repair kit, and it also has another NEMA 1450 charging adapter. So you could certainly store things up there, and overall, I think it's a nice, clean space. Now let's go to the interior of the car. I'm going to sit in the driver's seat, and I'm going to configure it and then sit in the back seat and show you guys what the space is like for the passengers. All right, so I'm at a pretty comfortable position here because this is how I drove here in it. So I have that set. I'm 6 feet tall. Let's go into the back here. There's an ample amount of room. I feel like these rear seats kind of sit a little too upright, but my knees have plenty of room here. You also have rear climate control, so you can aim the fans. There's no 3-zone climate control, so you can only aim the fans. And then there's also 2 USB-C chargers in the back seat as well. But the back seat is very plain. The materials on the seats, I feel like it's something that would be like in a base Focus. You can upgrade to a leather package for about $4,000. The seats in this Polestar 2 are made of WeaveTech upholstery. It's 100% vegan, dirt, and moisture resistant, and WeaveTech is a PVC-based leather alternative produced using a high-end process that reduces the amount of chemical plasticizer from the standard 35 to 45% to 1%. So to me, that all sounds good. I don't know if that's the marketing team trying to fool me or not, but overall, these seats kind of look like what you'd get in a base Ford Focus. They are comfortable, they're durable, and they're stain resistant, so that's all good. But again, for the cost of this car, over $50,000, I don't know. I do like the roof liner in this one. It doesn't have the fully panoramic roof, so that's kind of nice. It closes all that off, keeps the cabin cool, but it does make it feel cramped, whereas if you had the panoramic roof optioned, it would open up the interior space a lot more. But again, I like that Polestar has that feature where Tesla Model Ys and 3s always come with a panoramic roof, and honestly, I would probably option it without after owning it with, because it's kind of nice to block out the sun, especially in Phoenix where it gets so hot. Here's my seating position in the Model Y, so now let's get in the back. Yeah, I mean, just significantly more space. You can feel it especially on your head and in your shoulder area. Also, the Model Y seats can recline a little bit. This is how the Polestar seats felt, very upright. Model Y seats, I always keep them in this position, slightly leaned back. This is a much more comfortable position, way more room back here. Again, is this directly comparable, the Model Y to the Polestar 2? It's a little off because the Polestar 2 is smaller. The Polestar 3 is coming, but that's an $84,000 car. These cars are priced the same when you spec them both with all-wheel drive. On the interior of the car, I've seen people say that this feels cramped. I can see what they're talking about because this center console here kind of comes out and cuts into your legroom at the bottom. For me, I have plenty of room, but I could see someone bigger kind of feeling cramped in here. It does have Apple CarPlay, and the car's operating system is based on Android. So you have Google Assistant, and that can be very useful. But ultimately, this Apple CarPlay is so nice. And it also, I didn't realize this, but it has apps like Electrify America and Spotify automatically populate, because that's something that you could use while driving your car. Don't have a ton of experience with Apple CarPlay because none of my cars have ever had it. So this is really nice. I wish this was something you get in the Tesla. This is also a familiar thing. If you want to have less things to get used to going to an electric car, this is one of those options. So that's really nice. But overall, this infotainment system I find is hard to get around. Now, maybe that's something you will get used to as an owner of a Polestar. But for me, trying to change the steering feel and trying to change various things, I'm really struggling going through these menus. I do love this shifter here. To put it in gear, you simply pull back and then one up for neutral and all the way up for reverse. Park is just a button that you press here. One really annoying thing about this car is the turn signal. Of all things, I've never been annoyed by a turn signal, but listen to this. It sounds like an audio pop that we constantly have to edit out of the videos. It just sounds like, oh, it's terrible. I've never been annoyed by a turn signal, but Polestar, you did it. So I don't like that very much. Also, for the screen here, you have a couple options. So you have this option right here, which gives you your range and also shows your charge and power, and it shows where the throttle's at. And then you also have navigation mode, which minimalizes that and then gives you like a display in here that's almost the 3D virtual look of what's around you. So I really like this navigation mode, and you're able to toggle that by pressing this button right here. Very clean, useful look. This car only has 864 miles on it, so it's like brand new, but that's really nice. It does also have adaptive cruise control, and there's various features that you can spec it. The issue I run into is if you upgrade this to the all-wheel drive long-range model, you lose 10 miles of range. So the range goes from 270 down to 260. And that makes it have all-wheel drive, which puts it on par with the Model Y. But then the Model Y has 330 miles of range. The thing that's leveling them out now is that Tesla is opening up their charging network with the Magic Dock. You will have access to the best charging network in the world. So Tesla's huge competitive advantage of having a proprietary charging network is being reduced because they opened it up. Now, one thing you'll notice here on the power seats, so you have this for your lumbar support and everything like that, and then you have this for the up and down of your seat, but you're missing this right here. And that is because it's manual. There's actually a gear here that you have to turn to see how vertical or horizontal you want the seat to be. And I just can't believe for what this car costs. I also just noticed the seatbelt says since 1959, but for what this car cost to have to stick your hand back there and turn a wheel, like, I guess if I'm gonna say anything that's nice about this, at least make it the lever so it's easy. To stick your hand back in here and turn it is hard, especially while you're sitting in the car. Really disappointed in that feature. I'm sure on higher end models of the Polestar 2, you get the power rear horizontal support, but for a $50,000+ car, it should not come like this. Another feature that the Polestar has that the Tesla doesn't that's very useful is if you swing your leg underneath the back here, the trunk will open up, and especially, and this is a useful thing, if you have a kid, if you're carrying your groceries, I always find myself having to sit them down, and then to close it, simply do that and it closes back up. And you can see it works very reliably. So that's a nice feature. Driving the Polestar 2, again, both have 20-inch wheels on the Model Y and the Polestar 2, so that's good. So the ride quality of the Polestar 2 is very good, especially with the 20s. Now, one issue in me comparing that personally is I have a 2020 Model Y. They improved them significantly and put different spring rates on the new suspension, and they're calling it a comfort suspension. But just like anything, Tesla's like kind of vague about how they do things. So they don't have like a note of this is when the comfort suspension started. So I have reviewed a new Model Y that has 19-inch wheels with the double paned glass and everything, and they are better. So I would say they're about the same in terms of ride quality. Still fairly stiff, but overall a very well done car. It feels more put together. Like simple things like the door closing. And I know people are like, oh, the door closing, you're worried about that. If you close my Model Y door, it feels like you're shutting the door to a car that's made of cardboard. And this feels like you're shutting the door of a car. Sorry, someone laying in the middle of the road up here and there's police everywhere. So the fit and finish and paint quality of the Polestar, I would say, is better. I also really like this screen in front of me here. I'm not a really big fan of heads-up displays because I find you focusing on that as opposed to what's out on the road ahead of you. And a lot of times you know about how fast you're going. So this is really nice to have the navigation settings in there so you can just glance down for your navigation or toggle the screen to make your miles per hour much bigger when you don't need the navigation. So I could see you toggling between these two a lot and that being very useful. Now the 0 to 60 time of this car is 7 seconds. The 0 to 60 time of a long-range Model Y is 4.8 seconds. You can also get an acceleration boost that takes it to 4.2 seconds. You can get this in a performance pack that's all-wheel drive that takes it to 4.2 seconds. But then Tesla also has a Model Y Performance that does it in 3.5 seconds. Here's what I'll say about all of that. 7 seconds isn't exciting. A lot of the reason that Tesla was successful initially is because their cars were shockingly fast. Because you had to give people a reason to leave their gas-powered car, which you easily fill up with gas in 3 to 5 minutes, and you're back on the road. So Tesla, what they did that was genius was they made something that was very fun and shocking to drive. And this specific model being 7 seconds and front-wheel drive, it's not that exciting. So I would recommend getting a quicker model. The all-wheel drive one is 4.5 seconds. That would be a lot more fun to me. In the performance pack, there's like an Olin suspension that is even more adaptable than my aftermarket suspension from Unplugged that I have in my Tesla Model Y. I'll have that video of me getting that suspension installed linked in the description. So I don't like how slow this is, but it's also enough. It's enough for most people. Most people are gonna get in this and go, hey, this is plenty of power and it's quicker, like there's a Ford Escape in front of me. My wife used to have a Ford Escape. I prayed every time we merged onto a highway because it was a 1.6 liter turbo. And when you floored it, it did nothing. It was like putting boost mode on a vacuum. It was terrible and frightening. And this has plenty of power to get you up to speed. You can kind of hear the sound in here. I don't know if this mic is picking up the road noise, but it is quieter than my Model Y. Again, I'm not the best person to compare that because I have a 2020 and they've done things like double paned glass and other sound deadening features that make them quieter. What I will say though is this has a cloth roof, so you have that's helping with sound deadening. You have the cover over the trunk, which the new Model Ys come with, so that's also helping. Both of these cars have over-the-air updates. This has a max charging speed. Like my Tesla can do 252 kilowatts of charge. It can accept that much charge, so it will charge very fast. It will charge faster than this. This can accept up to about 149. If I'm wrong, I'll have that at the bottom of the screen there. And other things like preconditioning. So with the Tesla, when you are on a road trip and your battery is not at an optimal temperature for fast charging, because of the vertical integration of the chargers on the Tesla network, it will get the battery up to the appropriate temperature so you can charge quickly and it can be as healthy as possible for the battery and charging efficiency and charging times. That's where a lot of these other cars lack. The Tesla also has autopilot, which is adaptive cruise control and some steering, which I think is significantly better than what this has. It just shows you like the value that the Teslas have. But again, they do lack in some areas, like the build quality, the paint quality, the doors opening and closing and things like that. And every time I open my Tesla door and close it, it's like that clack. It's annoying. And you deal with that every day. This also gets over-the-air software updates. I don't know how effective they are because I don't own this car. I haven't experienced that. You might have to go to a different YouTube channel that can talk more on that, but it does have over-the-air updates. The over-the-air updates on my Tesla have been amazing over time. Some of them are incredible, some of them are not noticeable, but this does have over-the-air updates. We're driving on the road right now at 77 miles per hour. It's very smooth, it's very quiet and compliant, and I have a lot of confidence behind the wheel. Also, the warranty on this is 4 years, 50,000 miles, full coverage. It's the same on the Model Y, but the Model Y has a slightly better coverage on the battery. This Polestar 2 is 8 years, 100,000 miles. The Tesla Model Y is 8 years, 120,000 miles. So Tesla gives you an extra 20,000 miles on the battery. Minor detail, but something to note. So which one should you buy? Well, if you're riding around town and you want to have an electric car and you want to have something different that not everyone has, I would look to a Polestar. And I think I would even urge you to go with the Performance Pack. It's a little bit quicker. You can tune the suspension to your own liking. As an enthusiast, that's where my head goes. But this also, it's the same car, just with less features than the Performance Pack, and you'll save some money because you're not getting all of that extra performance out of the car, and it's very nice. Now, if you're gonna be doing road trips all the time and you're gonna have one car, that one car solution, that's where I lead you toward Tesla because the charging network is so good, the warranty is slightly better. Even the infotainment system, the sound system is significantly better. This, you have to upgrade to the Harman Kardon system, which costs even more. So as you start to add the options up on this, that the Model Y comes with as standard, there starts to be more of a price discrepancy. And I'm not going to talk about the rebates on these because that changes so much, so just look at your federal and state rebates currently whenever you're watching this video. This is a really good car. It's one of the few electric cars outside of Tesla that actually excites me. Another thing to note about the Polestar in comparison to the Tesla, they both have single pedal driving, meaning you don't need to jump on the brake because of regenerative braking. The Tesla, and this is something I've not seen another car come close to, is the disengagement between being on throttle and off throttle. With Tesla, it's immediate, it's on off, and there's no gap in between hitting the brake. This, when you come to a stop, there's like an abrupt boom, whereas the Tesla is a little bit more smooth, but they both have single pedal driving, which is one of my favorite things in driving an electric car, just not having to jump on the brake. It's also reducing the serviceability of the car because you won't have to service the brakes. You may have to check the fluid, but the pads, rotors, and everything are gonna last way longer than in a gas-powered car. I hope this video was helpful to you. Now, if you want to see me review this compared to a Tesla Model 3, click this video right here.